Hello there everybody and welcome to another episode of The Recap, where I just go over all of the things that happened in the previous session, give my predictions for the next session, and also a little bit of my own planning. This video will come out between half an hour and 15 minutes before the start of the next session, depending on how much I end up rambling right now. So you know that once this video ends, you can jump straight over onto twitch.tv/LordLambert_ for the next session to see if my plans and predictions end up coming true. But without further ado, let's have a look. This is, of course, the player map. We can see my lovely nation here in the middle, Phoenecia, and we can see just various things that are going on in the world. We can see here that we've got the Punic League, who has one single occupation in Iberia, and I will be talking about that war quite a lot. I will be talking about this war in India as well, where we see some Egyptian occupations in the south, some Median occupations here, and there's probably supposed to be some, can't remember what your name is, Bactrian, whatever, Indo-Greek Kingdom, I think, occupation somewhere as well, but I'm not sure what's happening there. But anyway, before we do that, let us jump over to the world stronkiest ranking, where we can see that I have jumped up from my usual place of 8th, and I'm now in 4th place, with 7.7% of the world's power, which is delightful, I must say. A lot of that, I believe, is coming down to the fact that we now have a legion. Legions add quite a lot of power. They're worth twice as much as levies, after all, and yeah, having big fatty stacked legions is probably good for your great power ranking, which is why I believe Macedon is in first place, because they don't actually have any levies at all, and every bit of their manpower is put towards legions. So, good for them. Other people that we've managed to overtake, Egypt, Media, Tuscia, Bosphorian Kingdom, all of these were quite regularly ahead of us. Asia has dropped down significantly after their lost wars. And yeah, just going well for our lovely nation. Let's have a look at the actual game, which I've forgotten to open. Let me just do that real quick. It's that one there. Don't know why I didn't open that beforehand. My apologies, it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm going to edit this out or anything. Or should I? Nah, we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in. My mistakes must be known. Anyway, what we can see is lovely Phoenecia here. Oh, it's beautiful. And we have our legion who is starving to death on its way home. I do not want to be in India anymore. We have removed ourselves from the situation. We can actually see that there are some occupations here. It is interesting then that they were not shown on this map. Yeah, this map seems to have been taken after a peace deal was made, so maybe like one day later or something like that. But either way, we've got Indian occupations here, and yeah, his name is Indo-Greek Kingdom. So, why I got out of that war? Well, Legion's starving, I wasn't really getting any money out of it, and I wanted to come home. I made enough money. I spent it all on these two cities. See, I've got a ton of buildings queued up, so that place is looking really fat and nice. So the war, from my point of view, it went relatively poorly. I came in, I scored some money. I don't know how much I made. I didn't end up calculating it out like I did with the first Indian war. As an estimate, 1,000 gold, perhaps. Really not worth the investment that I made into it. I'm not sure if I'll do this again. It is certainly more cost efficient to go in with a capital levy, considering you can split up the capital levy into, 20 different armies to sack individual cities, and they're all led by the same guy. Whereas if I was to split up my legion here, it would either have no commander or it would have, one of the legates. So it's not as efficient, it's not as good. I'm not sure I'm going to do it again now that I've got legions. But what will I be doing? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to what will happen in this session, or next session, whichever way you want to look at it, after we've talked about what happened in this session. So, Asia was a war in the beginning that I was planning on taking part of, but apparently Bosporans and Macedon thought that, they don't like too much of a gank, even though it was a hefty gank. It was Macedon and Bosporan versus Punic League and Asia, with also the Delian League being substituted, coming in as well. And yeah, it was pretty much a walkover. The Punic League ended up doing some damage, but then his army started starving, so he brought it home. It wasn't really worth his time being over here. Really, legions are very, very good at fighting close to home, but sending them to fight elsewhere, and it's not worth it. It's very, very difficult. Legions generally take up a lot more food because you're not going to be putting light infantry and archers who take so little food in the armies. You're going to be putting heavy cavalry, you're going to be putting heavy infantry, and very little else, because those are the two best pop types, or unit types. So you're generally not going to be bringing over low food using pop types, and you're just going to starve, like I did in India. But putting that aside, Asia held his own relatively well. He didn't lose that much. In the grand scheme of things. I wouldn't call it a viable nation. It is pretty much dead, and the player has in fact dropped out, so it will either be AI or be subbed by somebody who just wants to have a fight and then lose. We'll see if that ends up happening. But yeah, it's not really a viable nation anymore. It is ready to be carved up, and I will be taking my pound of flesh out of it. The other war in this area was Illyria versus Dacia. It was going very well for Dacia, kind of. Initially, when Illyria attacked, he sieged down some forts with assaults, but then really didn't do anything for a while. That early initial momentum kind of stalled as Dacia got all of his units into position, hired mercenaries and that sort of stuff. And that was the case up until Dacia's country exploded due to rebellions, and apparently he lost 4,000 gold in a series of unfortunate events. So his country just fell apart, and Illyria was able to become the master of Pannonia. He's now a very viable power, 3,000 pops, 300 territories. For comparison, I have 4,700, the same amount of territories, roughly. Macedon, they're similar. They're similar, right? They're not identical, but they're similar. Tuscia, lower pops, lower numbers of cities. So it is a viable nation, and there's still room for him to expand into up here. Whether he's going to do that or not, it's really hard to say. But it's a viable country. The other war that Macedon was interested in was against Tuscia, and he managed to quite convincingly win there as well. Apparently had all of his legions stationed in Italy at the time, and I believe he said that he initially started losing because of brain fartiness, but then he got his act together and pushed in. I believe he took two, maybe three provinces. I'm not quite sure. Well, 2 or 3. But he ended up getting quite a lot of pops and a hefty advantage over Tuscia with that war. Other wars to go on, not a clue up here. Not a clue up here. Apparently, Hibernia versus Scandinavia. Yeah, it is what it is. I don't think Scandinavia had a player, but I did hear something about Scandinavia getting one of Hibernia or Mogdakikum's army stack wiped, and that's all I've heard about that nation. It is what it is. I don't really care. It's barbarians in the north, isn't it? Barbarians in the south, though, is a little bit different, because it is the Punic League, who I do have dealings with, going in to try and take out Baetica, Latania, and Rodania. He's currently at war with all 3 of them. And while individually, Punic League is so much stronger, 4,200 pops, 300 territories, versus 2,000, 2,000, and 2,000, roughly. You would say that if they were working on an absolute, scale of pops equals power, these 3 have the advantage. However, it is rarely the case. It is rarely the case. The thing is, the Punic League, as you can see here, is able to land behind the lines, sacking cities, running away. These guys don't have a fleet. 0 ships, 33 and 21, versus the 233 of the Punic League. It's just not going to happen for them. you would say that, oh, but it's fine. You can hold this choke point. You cross straight into plains. You should be able to hold this area. And for a time, that was the case. Punic League could not make it across the Pillars of Heracles. However, what the Punic League ended up doing was bringing his army up north on the boats, sacking cities. It was specifically this area here, sacking 4 cities. And I think while he was maybe sieging a fort, Zoroaster, the Baetica player, brought his entire army over to try and deal with it, and leaving this relatively undefended, so there was a crossing made. And I believe most of Jake's army right now, or most of the Punic League's army, is either sieging... Yeah, they're sieging Carta. It's losing some food, so you can see it's under siege. So he's across, and while there are... I think around about 190,000 men, if you add all these armies together, versus the 150,000 of the Punic League, it is not enough. Actually, I think it's about 300,000. Each of them have around about 90 to 100,000 each. It's not enough. Punic League is the one that does these graphs. He's the one that sorts this out. And he also is he's very interested in, testing the game, where he will play on for a few decades or such to just plan out strategies. And he's planned this war. And yes, sure, it's AI. But in Carta, in the hills, he has seen that if he has a fight there with all of his armies that are in this region versus all of their armies that are able to get there in time, he wins quite significantly as well. It's not close. So it's something like 20,000 losses for the Punic League, 60 to 70,000 for the barbarians. I know they're not barbarians anymore. I think they're all monarchies or something, but it doesn't matter. They're barbarians. It's not close, and so the Punic League will win if it comes to that. There is an idea in these barbarians' minds that Egypt will come and save them. Egypt, of course, currently fighting India, but I imagine that is going to be pieced out relatively soon, and they believe quite strongly that Egypt is going to come in and save them against the Punic League. I have a deal with Egypt that I owe him a war against the Punic League, as he backstabbed Nubia, and the price for that was you help me against Jake. So, unfortunately, because I have no interest in such a thing, I will probably end up going to war with the Punic League, with Egypt. Except it won't be the Egypt player, because during the last session, he suddenly dropped from the game, and he dropped from the Discord call. It turns out that his PC absolutely shat a brick. The CPU died, the RAM died, the PSU died, so he needed new parts, and they're coming next Monday. As in the Monday after today when this goes out live. So he won't be playing in this session when we've got Cody playing. I think he was the one that subbed for the Delian League, which Macdon had some issues with communicating with. So that's going to be fun. So yeah, there's probably going to be a war, myself and the Ptolemaic Kingdom versus Punic League, with these barbarians involved as well. My idea here is that Baetica forces a white peace with Jake. This war has been going on for a significant amount of time. I could check it if I tag switch, but just believe me. It's been going on for over 10 years. And the war goal is to go for Mastiania. Mastiania is here, and he has not touched it. So a white peace can be enforced. Day one, you could force a white peace. I think that is the best idea, because so far, Punic League, he sacked these 4 cities multiple times. He's been growing stronger while these guys have been bleeding to death the entire time. It's not going well. They've all got high war exhaustion. Jake's got barely any. Their income is nowhere near Punic's. Punic's has grown. His economy's grown. His army's grown. Everything has grown during the war. These guys need a break. So I personally don't want to go into this war, but it seems like it's going to be that way. And I think that if myself and Ptolemaic Kingdom and these 2 barbarians, I'm not sure if Rodania has an interest in it anymore, go in against the Punic League, and Tuscia, I think Macedon will probably join as well. This is a lost cause. I don't want any part of this, but unfortunately I think I'm going to have to be forced into it, against my will. I've got no love for the Punic League, but he is also not really anything to do with me. As you can remember, he sold this Ciliciopedius to me for nothing. Well, I guess it was for Cyprus earlier. I've got no beef with him at this point. I don't really want to go to war, but it seems like my hand has been forced because I also don't want to backstab my ally and renege on a deal that I had made. So that's basically the story with the Punic League War. What else? Yeah, my plans, or the plans that will go ahead if I have the power to decide them, is I'm going to ally with Macedon pretty much day one, and he's going to call me into a war against Asia. What I want is literally just Cataonia. It annoys the hell out of me that I've got a name down here, and I've also got a name here. It annoys me. These these gates, the mountain gates here, do not count for, your name spread. So I want this so that I've got a land border all the way, and my name will spread. That's literally the only reason I want it. After that, I don't care what happens to Asia. I've got no interest in this area. Let it be. Let it go. I don't care. That's step one of my idea. Now, if you are the median player, please turn away now. My second plan, my second hope, my second idea is to go to war with Media. Because if we have a look at the population map mode, we can see that there are a hell of a lot of medians in the world. If we have a look at his population, we can see he's got 2,000 almost Zoroastrian medians. I am happy to go into my culture, find the, 3 medians that I have? Yeah, I have 3 medians. Straight up, turn these into probably even nobles, straight up. That's going to happen very quickly because I only have 3 of them. And then go to war with Media. My idea is that if I take as much of the Median region as possible, I will be a hella fucking strong. For example, if you have a look at the region map mode, there's 1,300 Median pops here. Of course, not all of them are Median culture, but look, there's quite a lot of these are Median culture. There's some Indians here, some Caduceans, but for the vast majority of it is Median. I want that. I want it's a huge boost to my power. This here is my next target. I am fairly doubting that I will be able to take all of it, but if I can at least take the defensive terrain regions here and here, potentially even here and here, that, 3 to 4 provinces in a war would do me so much good, and I really want to try that. So that's my idea. That's my plan for this session. Taking a province here, taking as much as I can here, and that's it. At the moment, I can raise roughly 150,000 troops, if I include mercenaries. I know that Media can raise, because I was at war, allied with him here, can raise around about 100,000, 120,000 including mercenaries. So I have the advantage in absolute troop numbers. If I was to be very devious, I could temporarily accept the Assyrians to get an extra 500, 200 extra freeman pops, and have that added to my total, because if I am to raise the levy from Assyria, I can only get 4 troops. If I accept them, it's a significantly larger amount of troops. Depending on how long it takes before I go to war with them, there may be an option that I can get down to cohorts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 technologies that I need to take. And that sounds like a lot. But if you think about it, there's 1, there's 2. I'll get 3 in, what year is that? 560. So 7 years, I'll have 3. Might need this one, 61. 8 years. 8 years, and I get 4. And if I look at my traditions, my next tradition, coming at 80 experience, gives me 4 innovations. Once I do that, I can take the law, royal army, and get extra legions. If I get extra legions, well, Mesopotamia gives me 75. So it is a huge, huge boost to my power by taking that legion law. Right now, I can raise... let me have a look again. Levy-wise, Mesopotamia can raise 83. Obviously, if it goes to legions, it's slightly less. But I can raise a lot of troops as legions here. And I don't think they've got anything that can really stand against that. So that's my plan. That's my idea. It looks like it's going to be relatively doable and possible. And hopefully we can pull it off. But I've been rambling now for 20 minutes. I've told you my plans. If you're media, please, you can listen to the rest of this video now. But yeah, those my plans. Thank you all very much for watching. If you want to head on over to Lord Lambert _ on Twitch, there's a link in the description below. If you've watched this as soon as it has gone live on YouTube, I will have just started my stream, and there'll be a stream starting soon thing for another 10 minutes. Or if you watch this, 10 minutes late, we're just starting right now, so hop on in, and it should be a good time. But thank you all very much for watching this. I hope to see you over on Twitch, and we will also hope for a good game. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.